All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. And yeah, see who we get in here this morning. It's a nice, lovely Sunday morning. Did this camera get moved closer or something? Let me adjust that. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Of course, people keep thinking that's something in the background, and that's literally just this. Oh, that doesn't help either. Guess I can just move this way. All right. There we go. Get that out of the way. Something I want to do is try to move the mic around when I get a bunch of people in here, but I can never get people when I think about moving the mic somewhere else. So far, this has been the best spot for sound. Yeah, sound is good on it. All right. Nice, lovely Sunday morning. We'll see what my peoples have to say in here. I never know when I'm going to get in the coffees. It seems like a lot of the walking, the chats, I get a lot more when I go for a walk later for my cardio with the weight vest on. I get a lot better turnout. All right, we get a better turnout. A lot of these, maybe especially in the weekend, might be a little early for the U.S. That's the bulk of my followers, although I have an enormous British following still, which is really strange population-wise. And I think that's only because I used to live in the U.K. and I built a big audience there. Like, I'm always shocked when I go see that 30% of my followers are in the UK. You know, when you think population-wise and people who lift, you would think the US would be way higher than it is, you know, or at least in relative. Like, you would think it would be 80% and Brits would be like 5%, 10%. No, they're like 30% of my followers. Rather strange. All right. Thus far, we're 2 minutes in. Almost no one following yet, no likes. So till those likes kick in. Hey, Dan, could you please give me a like before? There we go. Because otherwise, people don't see these. I got to remind guys of that. That's what puts it into people's feeds. So notice when you hit like more people just immediately appeared because then they saw it pop up. On Conjugate, do we need assistance movements after the max for a combat athlete? I thought maybe assistance not necessary. And just do max and hypertrophy. Now, I've said before, you don't necessarily need assistance. That could be where your sport-specific stuff comes in, okay? Because what is an assistance exercise, Dan? Sorry, I got to wipe my nose. Itchy. Okay. What is an assistance exercise, Dan? Assistance exercise has movement pattern carryover to your primary movement. Okay. For example, an assistance exercise for the bench press would be someone who needs to improve their bench because it sticks about this far off their chest, maybe at their transition point, right? An incline bench would be a perfect assistance movement. Right. Well, not just neurological factors, but even joint angle specificity, things that pull you back into the right bar path. Okay. So that's what an assistance exercise is. It's usually a heavy movement that has movement pattern carryover to the direct exercise or fixes a weak link in it in terms of the movement pattern, not just the muscle. Okay. So in that case, for a combat athlete, you might not even need to think in terms of assistance unless you just are really trying to bring up the squat, bench, and deadlift. But how about you could do assistance, could be some of your sport specific stuff. Okay. Example, let's say, you're a combat athlete, you do some sort of grappling, right? BJJ. How about a safety bar good morning? Could be done in place of an assistance on the first lower body. Because what does a heavy safety bar good morning do? Well, think about someone getting their hands around your neck, pulling. Right? So something like that for your grappling, that could be used in that place. But you're going to want some general hypertrophy and accessory no matter what. Should I just choose? No, max effort, you could just choose based upon the rotation. If you're going to do conjugate, you need a rotation. They don't necessarily need to be specific because before long, you're going to run into stuff that's not going to make you strong. Right? Because before long, if you're only thinking for your BJJ, you'll be like, oh, I'll just do safety bar good mornings as my max effort, Whereas in the reality, if you think about a grappler, all your deadlifts are going to be important. All your deadlifts are going to be important. But we're still trying to get strong. Max effort work teaches you maximum force production on big exercises, right? It has the skill. And it might just be us in here for a bit. Like SSB squat and straight to hypertrophy, like GMs, dumbbell squats. But you could do, no, not necessarily. You could do heavy stuff. So again, you're a grappler, right? So you're doing BJJ. So couldn't you do a heavy assistance with something like a safety bar good morning? It's a perfect example. That's going to have some carryover. How about even for max effort? What about some heavy floor presses? That dead stop. No. It's not most. It's like 30%, Dan. So I'm still like 60% US. But I was shocked when I looked at that my British followers are a massive percentage because it's not a perfect ratio of the population. There's a population bias in my followers, but it's because I started in the UK on the channel. Even though I haven't set foot in the country in over 10 years, at this point, I was living there when I started it. So, yeah. So hopefully that makes sense with some of your stuff for grappling and BJJ. But we got a lot of engagements from you there, so hopefully that kicks it up. Hopefully some more people hit that like, and then more people trickle in. We had a good little chat there. Systematically, not really. They need more people. Hey, I wouldn't mind more people from the UK in here if it was thousands. I used to blow up. And you get my following back up. Like the best thing I've ever done for my subscribers again are the lives. That's what's trickled it up. Although my OF has thrown a few out, And the funny thing is, people don't even know what I'm doing there. That's what's hilarious. It's normal to get a bunch of lurkers. Like I've had so much stuff of G for P and all of this, and I'm like, I hope you guys don't watch any of the Marvel movies because you're watching the same thing. I think people thought it was going to be like vegan gains. So they have this association in their head that everyone who's on there is straight up doing porn, and it's simply not true. I know at least one lifter who has thousands of OnlyFans followers who she states straight up she does 0 nudes. She does none. Is she being a whore? Granted, she's got over 1 million Instagram followers. She does no nudes at all. And yet she's still got like 1,000 people who follow her OnlyFans. That's crazy. I know some, I've known people who do cooking videos too. Yeah, no, absolutely. Cliff, hey Cliff, could you hit the like button, please? So you're the second person to ask a question, and we only have 1 like. You guys really kill my lives by not doing that, man. Come on, help a brother out. Right, hit the like button, reach down and hit it. So when I see a second thumbs up here, I'll answer your question, Cliff. Dan, you see the problem? I do that and they still don't do it. And I'm just like, okay, so it's that hard to get people to hit the button. I don't know why it's so hard to make people hit a like button. There we go. I'm gonna stop and probably just when I get more people in, I'm gonna stay for 30 seconds on repeat over it and not stop until I see the likes come up. I'll just be like, hit the like button, 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 and I'll answer questions. Hit the like button and I'll answer questions. I bet you if I did that for 3 minutes straight, people would finally start hitting. All right, Cliff says, hey Jay, for an intermediate lifter, would you prefer maximum effort and intensity for a workout of 15 sets 3 times per week, or slightly lower intensity being able to do 10 to 20 sets? We're using completely different terms here, Cliff. Because maximum effort means 1 rep max. Intensity means percentage of your 1 rep max in the lifting world. I know you're using bodybuilding speak. This is where we run into confusion. This is why athletes and powerlifters can't talk with bodybuilders back and forth. They speak completely different languages. So everyone in sports science, every strength and conditioning coach, every powerlifter, intensity is a mathematical number. It means percentage of 1 rep max. So if you say maximum intensity, you're going to do a 1 rep max on your barbell curl. You're going to do a 1 rep max on your tricep press down for 1 all-out rep. That's what that means. But generally speaking, no. Why would you be holding back? I don't ascribe to the let's do endless sets with 5 reps in reserve. Probably not a good idea. And I'm not saying I don't do a couple exercises here for that where I'm just trying to get a little blood flow sometimes, like my shoulder day this week. But generally speaking, you're not gaining muscle from that stuff. So why do you need those sets? So you're doing a bunch of warm-up sets, Cliff, is what you're asking me. Would you rather someone work out and gain muscle or do more warm-up sets? Because you're probably not gaining muscle unless you're up in the dose. Now, you get on 2 grams of test, right? Then you can do that and it'll work just fine. But if you're not on drugs, those 25 sets that you're talking about with much lower intensity, I'm assuming you mean how many reps from failure, may not produce as much muscle growth. We run into differences when we get really heavy with several reps left, because once you reach a certain intensity, you hit the upper threshold fibers on every rep, like about 85% that you're maxing up. But otherwise, no, you've got to be close to failure. Again, we're not talking about dynamic work. When it comes to hypertrophy after maxes, speed work, what muscle would you prioritize for BJJ? Thinking lots of fat bar. I love anything for the upper back, fat bar work. So I'm in a general phase with Ted right now because he just wants to get his strength up, and he's super thrilled. He and I had a call yesterday. We had like a quick 1 hour check-in. He's been super happy with the strength gains. He's just like, I've gotten stronger every single week. He's like, I'm actually kind of shocked. I didn't think that was going to happen. And once we get through that, we're rotating in speed work for him, and then we're going to go into more specificity. But yeah, I love good mornings. I really like sumo deadlifts for grapplers like that. For BJJ, I like sumo work, especially that nice wide stance. I like good mornings. I like safety bar work. I like fat bar work. I mean, even fat bar pull-ups, fat bar rows, right? Lars says, morning, coach. Good morning, Lars. How we doing? How the veins this morning? I carved up. I'm finally eating carbs again. All clean. I only carbs I had were brown rice, some oats, and some sweet potatoes. I'm going to keep the fasted cardio up and get my carbs back in. I need it for the training. I'm feeling that low carb in the training. It's mainly that I'm not recovering anymore. Is what I'm noticing. You know, you get those aches and pains. I started getting DOMS that last for 4 to 5 days. And I'm like, really? Did I really get DOMS from that? Why isn't T3 worth it for use for cutting? Good question, Chad. Chad Life. Number 1, it can suppress your production. Number 2, it burns muscle if you're not really careful. Okay. T3 it can be really hard on muscle, right? And it's not without side effects. And again, also that you can eat 200 less calories, you know? Do you think it would work well without doing all the heavy assistance, just doing MED hypertrophy? My only reason is heavy assistance work seems to make me hurt with all. You could do it that way, Dan. You could do it that way. All right. But is he also getting more aesthetic, or is he just getting stronger? Who you're talking about, Ted? Ted doesn't care at all about his aesthetics. What he's already said is, he goes, I'm lean, I have abs year round, I don't care. He's like, I care about being strong, and I care about being injury-free and powerful for my sports. So he does BJJ and boxing. So for him, that is what he does. He has actually said at no point that he remembers that he ever cared about his aesthetics, because he's like, I've had a nice body since I was in high school, because I played school sports all the way through. So Ted has said he started doing sports like competitively at like 12 years old. So, and again, he ran track and stuff when younger. So and he's like, I've never been fat. Right. He said he did bulk up to 200 during the lockdowns for a little bit, but then trimmed right back off. So in his case, he just doesn't care. I just ate breakfast with triple sausage. Shadow, that's nice. What do you think of Jamie Lewis's? I mean, Jamie's got his own stuff there. Look, I'm not going to badmouth Jamie, but essentially, I feel like by the time he came into my podcast, Jamie had gotten a little into left field with obsessing over the French lifters of the 1920s and the 1930s as the only proper way to lift. Just kind of leave it at that. Like, he determined at that point in his life that they knew everything about lifting, and that anyone who did anything different from the French lifters was doing it incorrectly. Keep in mind, this is a guy who had all-time world records in powerlifting at one time. He broke them in 181. So, you know, best traps exercise. I don't know there is a best traps exercise. Various shrugs. I could even make a case. Man, I can make a case for any sort of row at a high angle. I mean, overall, deadlifts, rows, all that stuff are going to build traps. You're going to build traps. But if you really were really struggling with traps, and you absolutely can't bring them up, something like a 45-degree dumbbell row on an incline bench, like chest supported. If I really wanted to hammer down and isolate them more, if you were struggling with something like that, if you just cannot get them to budge, but generally just get really good at rows, and deadlifts will work wonders. How long after running 40 micrograms of clean do you recommend cycling off? I don't have an exact recommendation for that. That's a very low dose. What's up, Coach? Enrage Hada. Wait, do you have what I think you have? Hold on. I need to check your thing. That better not be what I think it is in your avatar. Oh, bro, come on, man. Enraged, dude. We don't need all that, man. Why? Do we really need that? All right, man. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let you stay as long as you don't say anything, particularly hateful. I'll be chill. But dude, we don't need all that. Dan says snatch grip rows for traps. It's not a bad way to go. You're on a red pill rage. You're on a red pill rage. What are you talking about? Also, you guys need to get the likes up. There's more than 4 people asking questions, and we got 4 likes. Hit the like button, guys. Come on. Actually, I'm going to just repeat it until we get a few more. Hit the like button, guys. 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 Hit the like button. I might even answer some of your questions if you hit the like button. Can we get a couple more? Hit the like button. All right. Not that difficult. All right. What do you mean going a red pill rage? I'm not red pilled though. 18 is probably too young for me. Yeah, it's just, you're talking about dating someone with that big of an age disparity. I'm going to say my minimum, probably my absolute minimum would be 35. There we go. I don't know. I don't even see what you have there now. There you go. Yeah, Shadow, I would say 35 would probably is about as low as I'm willing to go. And it's just because of, you got to have some things in common. You can't date somebody who you literally have nothing you can discuss and have real conversations and shared experiences with. I mean, come on. Um, Otherwise, it's not a relationship. Dan, I'm going to do 4 days MVDE split, but cross a 3-day a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just for convenience, including MVD. How many lifts you start with while training? 4 exercises, right? I would say 3 accessories per day is fine. Shadow says 36, talking to an 18-year-old didn't work out. Yeah, I mean, the age gap, man, is really big there. Like, what are you going to have in common with her? You're not going to have anything in common. And yeah, she's legal. So anyone who would say, oh, whatever, there's nothing immoral. You're all legally adults. The problem is it's not going to work. It's just not. I mean, you've got to be practical about it. Well, then, Dan, to take it up. But you said you're beat up. You're doing BJJ 5 to 6 days a week. You could start with 4. You could start with 4 and see where you go. What's your conditioning and work capacity like? I mean, Shadow, I totally get that. I had for a little while, right before I got with the one ex, who I'm not going to say name, I'm going to not mention her, who you guys used to see on my channel. Like and she knew her, they knew each other. I had a friends with benefits who was 21, and there's no way that was going to turn into a relationship. It's just no. There was nothing we could talk about, and it wasn't even my idea. So before anyone says, I did not pursue her at all. Literally met her at a big party a friend was throwing, and she came on to me. So, but yeah, there was no way that was going to work. Like, I can tell you straight up, nothing in common. Probably didn't leave much room for direct arm work. Then maybe I'll just stick to compounds or accessories. You can always throw some curls in. Do you think recommend a minimum age to start strength training, or do you think for 11 to start training without any? Tanner stage 4, Chad. The minimum age to start training, and keeping in mind, this is assuming you're talking about one of your own kids or something, they want to train. If they express an interest, don't try to force them into training. If they express an interest, Tanner stage 4, can they control an eccentric rep? Can they drop into a squat under control with their body weight? That's what you're looking for. Now, they're not going to gain much muscle from any of that. So realistically, if you're looking at the hormonal environment to gain muscle tissue, like to where you could put them on normal full training, right? To where you could have a progression. We could do, sets relatively close to failure. I'm going to say they need to have reached puberty, because you need the hormonal environment to get the extra bone density, the muscle growth, and everything. So that's what you're looking for in terms of training and lifting weights. What's your opinion on Olympic lifts? You're going to have to be very specific. I think Olympic lifting is a great sport with a long tradition. I think the Olympic lifts are extremely high skilled lifts that require a lot of dedication to perfect. But outside of that, for any sort of other training response, there's other stuff that will do a better job than the Olympic lifts. In fact, for Olympic lifting, most of your accessory to get bigger is classic lifts that you then transfer over to the Olympic lifts. I mean, look how much squatting Olympic lifters do. Literally, Olympic lifters aren't coming in and just doing snatches for their quads all day long. They're still all back squatting, front squatting. Hey, that should speak volumes about the effectiveness of the Olympic lifts for actually developing anything. They're too technique oriented. You'll never reach the fatigue you want. So my question is, for what purpose? The Olympic lifts are amazing for doing the Olympic lifts. But in terms of actual muscular development or strength development, they're not near the top of the list. And the problem is the Olympic lifting community is so bougie and elitist. If they see you trying to use the lifts in a hypertrophy manner, they tell you you're doing them wrong. Like, you even get seen doing it, they get offended. How dare you do a bunch of power cleans to try to build your upper back? You're doing them wrong. It's almost comical. But they do have a point. Why would you? There's other stuff you can do. You don't have to do them. But they make sense for certain strengths. Or they make sense for a football player and stuff, I suppose. Do some power cleans and power snatches. But the full Olympic lifts, probably not. And again, you're going to have to hire an instructor, or you have to spend a lot of time learning. I mean, you can teach yourself to Olympic lift by watching tons and tons and tons of instructional videos and filming yourself over and over. Or you're going to have to hire a full-time coach to teach them to you. They're very skill-based. And they require a lot of practice. Yeah, hang clean is not an Olympic lift, and it's an assistance exercise to the Olympic lifts. But there's other stuff you could do that might do a better overall job. A lot of guys are like, what about explosiveness? Why don't you do speed boxes? You do speed pulls, right? If you're just looking for power, speed boxes, speed pulls, rotate sumo conventional, try running them with bands, chains. Hey, Sam, I've heard of similar stories with Samoans. Keep in mind, Samoans are just ridiculously big already. The issue is size equals strength. And if you have a guy who's never lifted weights and he's walking around at 6'4", 300 pounds, and has never touched a weight, he's still going to be pretty strong. Why is it the physiques of some female Olympic lifting athletes is absolutely atrocious? Which, Chad, you have to be specific. I don't know which one you're talking. You have to describe the physique type. So do you mean the really heavy ones? It's because they're fat, because they eat a sheet cake for breakfast every day. I'm working my way towards Olympics. I figured handling took a start. I mean, if you want, just keep in mind that's its own discipline and it's its own community, right? Yeah, it's the Olympic lifts are their own niche community. And in my experience, they're very elitist, and it's almost to the point of funniness sometimes. Depending upon what country you live in. Just be aware you're going to learn some bad habits there that will get you kicked out of other sports if you're not careful. So that's one of the big problems I have, because I come from a powerlifting background. The Olympic lifters, the way they bail on squats. Not only is it not the safest way to do it, if you do it at a powerlifting meet, you'll probably get sued and you'll be banned permanently from competition. If you do it in the meet, by the way. I've been to rules meetings where the head judge pretty much said, like, during the rules meeting, he goes, if you bail out of the squat like that, I want you to go pack your stuff and get out the door, out of this facility before I get to you, because it's not going to be pretty. He goes, you will receive a lifetime ban. You will never compete in powerlifting again if you do it, and you better get your stuff on and out the door and grab your bags and hit the door before I get to you, because it's going to be ugly when I get done chewing you up one side and down the other. It's kind of like, and you're probably going to get a lawsuit. And for them, that's how they normally bail. They just bail out of the back. Like, you do that at powerlifting, dude. It's you're done for life. You're never going to set foot on a platform again. So they have some bad habits, and it doesn't work in the carryover because then it becomes ingrained that you're just supposed to, when a squat gets too hard, you just throw it behind you on the floor. They've got their own weird traditions, and there's no need for any of that. They could just use a rack like a normal person. So there's some of my issues with their culture. Quentin says, I just ate a prison spread. Why, man? How high do you recommend kicking up electro dose to if gyno isn't going away? However high you need, but it's going to be very unpleasant. Have you tried Masteron? You got your things I got to bounce, so all right, take care. Hey, Chad, have you tried Mast yet for that? And make sure it's chest fat, not gyno, or which one it is. Dudes get the two confused. Remember, fat is not gyno. If it's soft, it's not gyno. It's just fat or a little water retention. Gyno is going to always be a hard lump. It should be really hard, like a marble. But yeah, I would work with Masteron. Would always be my first thing. I mean, you could run the Masteron with electro, but I'm just telling you right now, your life is not going to be fun. You start using electro to remove the gyno. Your bones are going to hurt. Your dick's not going to work. Just telling you up front. Like, just be prepared to go a month without an erection. And be prepared for your bones to hurt when you wake up in the morning. But it should reduce the gyno. But yeah, dudes can run a whole pill every day to help. And when I say a month, it could be longer. It could be 3 months. So you may need, if you're married, you got a wife, you may need to get some Viagra if you go that route. Yeah, you can't tank your estrogen to that degree without some serious effects. A lot of guys forget that in this conversation. Too many guys don't realize we need estrogen. We have to have a certain amount for muscle growth, for health, for everything. Like, that's the funniest thing is how many guys out there, they get involved in gear and then they take stuff to lower their estrogen and they tank their estrogen and then they realize they literally have no sex drive and they're impotent. It's like, yeah, you kind of need estrogen, guys. You literally can't even get an erection if it goes to 0. I think dudes forget that. I just don't think Masteron's enough to take. Okay. Well, then why don't you adjust your stack to sort the gyno? So if your concern is the gyno that won't go away, why don't you just run your test at a reasonable level, take the other stuff out, and blast Masteron? Hey, Jason, I think I might have pulled the top of my lat muscle during a deadlift today. Any tips for recovery? It's not like super bad. Still get blood flow to it. Do not stretch it. Get lots of blood flow to it. Let it heal. Make sure your protein is high. Right? I've pulled a lat before on a deficit deadlift on camera. You guys remember I had a black sleeve pretty much. So I was black all the way from my elbow down to my hip. And it took about a week for it to heal. But I did that on like a 2.5-inch deficit pull. About 3 years ago or so. Right? Sound about right? I think it's about right. It happens. So again, just get blood flow to it. Do your other normal training. Do the movements that don't hurt so that you continue to get blood flow to it. Get your protein high. Get some heat to it. And it's a really hot bath, some hot water on it. Maybe if you have somebody who could throw a heating blanket or a heating pad on it, wouldn't be bad. Heat and blood flow. I even mine that did that. It took about a week. Yeah, but Chad, if someone had really bad gyno they needed to clear up, I would make a dose mast with a TRT dose of test. I'd consider that at least. Thanks, appreciate it big time. Keep up the good work. You're most welcome, Marcus. All right, what else we got, people? At least we got those likes up eventually. Man, people have been stingy with the supers lately. What's up with that? I used to get them for a while. It's all good. I think it was a lot of the trolls were dropping me $2 super chats all the time. People who hated me kept giving me $2 over and over just to trash talk me. It was hilarious. I actually wish more of them were doing it again. I'd be like, that adds up. I went through and added it up. And I think in something like December or whatever, I think I made like $100 just from people angry at me, hating me, giving me $1.99 super chats. Seriously. They gave me like $100. It was funny. Huh? No, shut up, Siri. Why? No one said your name. Stop. Okay. I just saw the thing pop up on my phone. Ridiculous. All right, guys. There aren't many people watching. We're half an hour deep. I think we've covered all this. We've linked everything. So you guys aren't following. Why aren't more of you signing up for my OnlyFans? Remember to follow me on all my other stuff too, guys. All my other social media. My Facebook, my Instagram is all in there. Give a brother some follows. All right, I'm going to wind this down, though. Give you guys a forum shot before we go. So I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.